Advanced English Arabic Learning Irregular Verbs, Session 08. Fight, fought, fought. They were fighting over who pays the bill. Stand down or fight me. One man set the key example by challenging death, fighting a disease that crippled him. Green chili has antioxidant properties that fights the damage caused to the liver by alcohol. The interrogator asks why the soldier had been fighting and did not defect. The teacher had to pull apart the two kids who were fighting. To fight the unjust enrichment. I'll leave them to fight it out. I sit shuddering, too much of a funk to fight. Two dogs fighting over a single bone. We have been fighting ever since. It will not stop fighting until imposing a blockade on the area. Many of the detainees fight their captors at every opportunity. It is common for great powers to try to fight wars by proxy. Abruptly, Vampire joined the fray, fighting with preternatural speed and strength. He tried to fight back the tears when he heard the news of her death. The old lady managed to fight the muggers off and they didn't get her purse. A churchman who has dedicated his life to fighting racism. She had to fight back tears of frustration. I'm fighting off a cold. The men were fighting. Runners who fought near whiteout conditions. He fought for deregulation of the telecom industry. He fought so valiantly to protect her. She fought to stave off the hot tears scalding her eyes. The Irish people fought a revolution to banish foreign soldiers. Despite his wound, he still fought like a tiger. She fought her assailant off. The army attacked the town and the inhabitants fought back fiercely. We fought like cat and dog the whole time we were together. Cameron fought back as hard as he could. Those who had fought for king and country. Clover is usually considered a weed and is fought with herbicides. He has never fought shy of controversy. Find, found, found. He needs to weed through a vast amount of information to find a kernel of truth. Children find it easier to assimilate new information when it is presented as a story. Representatives trying to find cheap fixes to meet their obligations. Tune in next week and find out. We wanted to find a camping site that was a little bit off the beaten path. I couldn't find the lake at first. I drove past the turnout. Woodpecker climbs tree trunks to find insects and drums on dead wood to mark territory. He's a schemer who always finds a way of getting what he wants. She loathes Hollywood, finds it distasteful and banal. If people find out about this, the whole thing could blow up in our faces. You've got to pull yourself together and find a job. A nitpicker is a person who finds faults. We tried to find a room at the hotel, but no dice. He brooded over his need to find a wife. He finds her displays repulsive. How do I find survey respondents? I often find it difficult to turn up at my job in the mornings. Put your wits to work and you will find a way. I'm going to find out exactly what transpired. He fumbled about in the dark but could not find her. Feverfew is much harder to find than chamomile. I can't find the thingamabob that holds the door open. After the operation you may find it difficult to chew and swallow. This is likely to incentivize management to find savings. For all his peculiarities, she finds him quite endearing. They needed only to find a priest to solemnize their marriage. He led an expedition in Egypt which claimed to find one mummy. I'd like to ask his opinion, but I find him difficult to approach. They find it stressful to put these intrusive thoughts out of their minds. To find her truest self. A priest would find omens in the steaming entrails of a sacrificed animal. If I nagged him to lose weight, he may think I don't find him attractive. She woke to find her body slicked with sweat. She woke to find a strange inscription on the palm of her hand. The report finds that the cost of these disparities is stupendous. The quests of the motley participants were too disparate to find common ground. I find it very hard to grind out an original essay every week. I jotted down her number on a scrap of paper and I can't find it now. They find it hard to live off the money they make. He was finding the course too difficult, so they moved him down. The police are nosing about to see if they can find anything against the gang. I poked about in my CD collection to see if I could find it. I ratted through the papers on my desk but couldn't find the letter. He rooted about in his briefcase, trying to find a pen. I rooted around my flat trying to find the letter. We scouted around to find the best price. If you shop around, you can find some real bargains for air tickets. If his girlfriend finds out, she'll get mad and sit on him. I sniffed around to see if I could find a better deal. The police stitched them up because they couldn't find any evidence against them. We booked into the first hotel we could find. They drilled down through the information to find the truth. Many people find it hard to face up to the fact that they are getting old. He's finding it hard to get around since the operation. It'll be tricky, but we will find a way to get around the regulations. They're finding it increasingly difficult to get by since their daughter was born. I find it extremely difficult to get down to doing any revision for examinations. He gave himself over to finding his son. Let's split up and find the other two. Once aboard the train, I found a seat that had an overhead rack big enough to hold my suitcase. He had flown into a rage when he found his car was clamped. He found a rusty piece of gold. They found their trust in divine providence to be a source of comfort. He found his mother dozing by the fire. The path was dark, yet I slowly found my way. His dyslexia, the bane of his life, meant that he found writing difficult. I wish I hadn't jumped the gun and resigned before I found another job. He found his duties increasingly onerous, burdensome. The researchers found that land plants had evolved on Earth by about 700 million years ago. She found a stick to whack at the branches. Nugget is a small lump of gold or other precious metal found ready formed in the earth. We found him tired-eyed and peaked, not a man for josh and chatter. She cozied him and made out she found him irresistible. She found his accent to be a real turn-on. Green scum found on stagnant pools. She still found the idea far-fetched. When his father found out about the car, he really flew off the handle. Pantry, built-in cabinet found in a kitchen. She found a towel and began rubbing her hair. He went forth and found a wife in another city. She found the course hard, but she kept at it and completed it. He found it difficult to put across what he wanted to say at the meeting. They found they could earn a perfectly good living by sponging off others. She found the course very tough, but she stuck at it and did well in the end. I stuck with the job, though I found it very stressful. The scandal blew over within a fortnight when the press found someone else to attack. I chucked out some stuff I found in the fridge that had gone bad. She found it hard to make ends meet in the past. The strangest dentition is found in the vampire bats. I am realistic enough to know that the oil tanker that veered off course had been found. To come to terms with this tragic situation we have all found ourselves in. Teeth and jaw fossils of a hominid were found with fossils of other animals. No suitable surety within the jurisdiction can be found. Men and women hailing from the Ukraine were found to be the most attractive. She was found bludgeoned to death in the basement. He was found guilty of forgery. Excavators have found that the floor of the building is littered with fragments. The prisoners were later found innocent. This sequence is commonly found in prefix menus. It can be found in the frozen foods aisle of any supermarket. The major implications for the likelihood of life being found on exoplanets. People who developed tics as children are found to be more susceptible to OCD. Flee, fled, fled. The herd was fleeing back to the high land in a wild stampede. Deer are excellent hoppers, fleeing from predators with long bounds. The violence prompted a wave of refugees to flee the country. She had a distinct, almost tactile memory of the girl fleeing. He was forced to flee the country. He was accused of trying to flee the scene of the accident. Take shelter under the cloud, while they flee to carts and sheds. At that point, people flee the land looking for a better deal. Deciding to flee her war-stricken country. In alarm he wishes to flee, considering himself lost. To escape the fighting, his family fled from their village. The lingering sickness in his body fled, gone for good. He slammed the bedroom door behind him and fled. They fled because they feared retribution for the genocide. She fled with her children to a friend's cellar. He fled when he saw me. He fled from Munich, but found a ready welcome elsewhere. Thousands of Israelis living near Gaza have fled their homes. People have long fled to the mountains in search of fresh air and tranquility. The end. Coming next. Session 09.